Okay, good afternoon. I'm calling the regular monthly meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission to order for Wednesday, September 25th, 2013. Please rise for the pledge. Thank you. Ms. McGill, would you call roll, please?
Yes. Alley? Here. Case-Spear?
Here.
Ferrara?
Here.
Chair Wiscombe?
Here.
Longstreet? Here.
Great, thank you. Ms. Rapp, changes to the agenda?
Chair Wiscombe and Commissioners, my recommendation is that we take item 3 following public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. We will do that. Is there anyone here to speak at public comment? Okay, seeing no one, I am going to close public comment and we'll move right into item 3A1, which is 233 West Carrillo Street. Mr. Downey, welcome.
Chair Wiscombe, Commissioners, bear with me. I'll get this going.
We're going a little too fast for you today, or?
Chair Wiscombe, Commissioners, 233 West Carrillo Street is a small king palm that the owner of the property wants to replace. It's been there a while. It hasn't done much of anything. A couple of months back, the commission went through a designation for the street. They added the queen palm to the designation list. The applicant is interested in replacing this king palm with the queen palm that will do much better in this area. The committee looked at the tree, and based on the poor condition of this tree, they recommend that you approve the removal on the condition that they plant a replacement king palm. They also commented that they'd like to see the owner plant a second queen palm in another available tree well and provide occasional water for the trees.
Thank you very much, Mr. Downey. Okay, we don't have any public speakers on this, so I'll open it up to the commission for discussion. Yes? Your motion?
I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation to remove the king palm at 233 West Carrillo and replace it with a 15-gallon queen palm at the present location plus a second queen palm.
Second.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Just for clarification, Mr. Downey, can we actually ask them to plant two for?
Chair Wiscombe and Commissioners, the recommendation from Street Advisory Committee was to condition one tree. They commented that they would like to see a second one. So if your motion is to concur with stack, it would be for the one palm.
But you can also let the record show that the commission would like second tree.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very well stated, and I will follow that along.
And
Recommend that we follow staff's recommendation to remove the one, plant a new queen with, and asking the property owner to add a second. Is that
I
clear
would
enough?
agree. Yes, I would agree with that motion.
Okay, so we have an amended motion, and any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Good. We are moving on to 530 Allen Road. We do have a public speaker here for that. Mr. McCarter's here. So what we'll do is Mr. Downey will give his presentation. I'll ask the commission if they have any questions. After question period, we'll open it up to public comment.
Chair Wiscombe and Commissioners, 530 Allen Road has 3 street trees. There's 2 podocarpus trees which are not being requested for removal. The liquid amber tree is being requested for removal. We've been working with McCarter since July, along with Building and Safety and Public Works, to come to some resolutions to his sewer lateral issues. The sewer line does exist directly underneath the trunk of the tree. The committee reviewed the application and application materials and determined that the 2 other trees were more than sufficient to fill that area, based on the density of trees in the area and the benefits to those adjacent trees. They recommend that the application be approved for removal. So that is their recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Do any of my fellow commissioners have questions on this item before we open it up? Yes, Mr. Ferrara?
Yeah, I have a question on who would bear the cost of the removal of that tree?
Chairperson and Commissioner Ferrara, if the McCarters choose to follow with other options to repair their sewer line, and the tree would be destabilized by that work, the city would remove that tree. The application process on the second page clearly says that if the tree is found to be in good condition and the removal request is granted solely for the convenience of the applicant, the full cost of that removal shall be borne by the applicant. So if you approve this removal through this application process and it's removed for this reason, the cost would be the applicant's.
Thank you.
Mr. Downey, any idea the approximate cost involved to remove this tree? Any estimate?
Chair Wiscombe and Commissioner Case-Beer, an estimate would be a couple of $1,000s at minimum.
Okay, just as a comment on the questions, we as a commission are just deciding on the tree removal itself and not who pays for it. So that's really not our purview. So we don't need to, that will be resolved at a later date with the department and with risk management possibly, if
Okay.
depending upon what our action is. So, okay, so we have questions. We have Mr. McCarter here. Welcome, Mr. McCarter. Would you like to come up to the microphone? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it was a late question. So, Mr. Downey, this goes back to my questions about the chicken or egg when it comes to sewers and tree roots and them sort of making their way into the sewer line. So in the document that was attached to our packet, it says that the root cause of this problem is the liquid amber tree sits on the sewer line. Is it just that, is the fact that it's actually sitting on the sewer line, or is this sort of an assumed impediment by the tree roots sort of finding their way to the sewer line because there is a leaky sewer line, which is the initiation of the problem?
Chair Wiscombe, Commissioner Ali, to date we received no documentation of the actual cause of the sewer line defect. It's been suggested that it's the tree, but we have to date not received any evidence of that.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, fine. Now I'll open it up to public comment. Mr. McCarter. I can give you 3 minutes to speak to the issue.
Sure, well,
Okay.
Madam Chair, Parks and Rec Commission members, I wanted to thank Mr. Downey and the Street Tree Advisory Committee for taking the time to assess the situation and forwarding the removal recommendation to you. At this time, I find myself kind of in a pickle here because The whole intent of this is that I do not want to pay for this tree removal. And so if you approve this request, then it sounds like I'm beholden to remove this tree at my expense, and so therefore, if that's the case, and I withdraw my request. And then I would like to read this to you, and then we can go from there. Because I'm not here because the tree needs to be removed, that's common sense. I'm here because I believe that the city needs to take responsibility for the removing of their tree that has caused damage to my sewer lateral, disrupting my basic services, and causing sewer exfiltration, which is a health hazard. I'm disturbed that the city has imposed a double standard when it comes to the removal of liquid ambers on my street. 32 neighbors had their liquid ambers removed without incident by the city. 38 liquid ambers planted in 1957 on my street, with only 6 remaining. The city planted the trees in the parkway directly on the sewer lines, an unintentional mistake. For years, under the direction of the previous city arborist, the trees were removed one by one by the city without hassle. I have been assured that policy has not been changed. Why then has the city changed its attitude regarding the removal of destructive liquid ambers on my street? Why has the city taken more than 2.5 months to get this far in the removal process for the tree and then burdened the homeowner with the removal cost? Anyone with basic values would agree that responsibility for property damage is the liability of the property owner that caused the damage. I'm not asking that the city replace my sewer line. I'm asking that the city take responsibility and remove their tree causing damage to my sewer line at their expense. Mr. Downey insisted that I do everything I could to save this tree. I thought I would be a team player and give it the old college try. I ended up spending $1,350, including a fine from Public Works, in a failed attempt to save this tree. I will not now spend more money to remove the tree. Meanwhile, the plumbing continues to back up and the sewage continues to exfiltrate into the groundwater, with a creek less than 100 feet away, leading to a very popular beach just down the street. Recently, Channel Keepers sued the city for sewage exfiltration. Don't you think the city should take responsibility and remove this tree, resolve this issue?
Your 3 minutes is over, so
okay, well,
if you could wrap it up, please.
I just have that much more right there. I just have like a couple
Go ahead.
sentences.
Yeah.
Thank you. Today, I got this. It's a notice of violation from Santa Barbara County Public Health Department Environmental Health Services, and they say this: immediately cease sewage and wastewater discharge. Remove all solid waste material, if any is present. Disinfect the area of the spill. I have a backflow problem, and the trench is filled with sewage. Obtain required permits for sewer system modifications, which I already had. Make necessary repairs to prevent future discharge.
Okay. I'm going
I
to
just have one.
ask you to wrap it up. I didn't know you had that.
Well, I'm
to read.
sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this was such an immediate. I'm the one living with a sewer problem here. I was going to say more, but just ask yourself what city council would do for this resident.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you. I'm going to close public comment, and I'll open it up to the commission. Mr. McCarter, if someone has a question, I'll let you know. I do have one question, though, for you. You indicated at the beginning that knowing now that the commission is not here to decide on who pays for the tree removal, that's not in our purview. Would you like us still to proceed with your application in terms of removal of the tree?
No, I don't. I'm not going to pay for this. So if he accepts this, I've
wait,
talked to my
what
two
I'm saying to you,
plumbers,
sir,
and this is,
what-
the tree will be destabilized.
Sir, what I'm saying to you is that we don't have any purview over who pays for the tree. We do have purview over whether you can have the tree removed or not, and then you'll have to take the next step with someone else. So I'm just asking you, would you like us to proceed with what we have under our control?
If this means that to go through with this, agreeing that the tree needs to be removed, and it's still open-ended as in who pays for it, then yes, I would proceed with this.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, so
I just
you'd
don't
like
want
us
this to be
proceed.
the end of it and just all of a sudden, I picked box
understand
number
that.
1 and
Yeah.
now I lose.
But we don't have
Okay.
any control over that. I'm sorry that we don't, but we don't.
Chair Wiscombe.
Okay, does anyone have a question for,
Chair Wiscombe,
yes?
if I could clarify, regardless, if the commission concurs with the Street Tree Advisory Committee and approves of removal, it does not mandate that the McCarters remove the tree. They can choose to remove it at that point or not. It simply allows that process to move forward.
Right, I understand that, yeah. Okay, good. Does anyone have a question for Mr. McCarter before we can, no? Okay, that's great.
I'm sorry, my late questions. So I'm going to go back to the question that I asked of Mr.
Are you addressing Mr.
Yeah.
McCarter?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm interested to know what sort of research or evidence you have. So I asked Mr. Downey the question about the fact that normally, from what I've learned up here, is that the sewer lines being sort of engulfed by tree roots starts out with the problem of the sewer line leaking water, and therefore the tree roots are seeking that water, be it dirty water, clean water, what have you. And so I'm wondering what you mean by the tree that sits on the sewer line. Is there any sort of gap between the tree roots and the sewer line? What is the difference in length?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. The short of it is, and I got this from several plumbers that I worked with, I've done some little research on this. When the trees are planted on the sewer lines, and they do that for a reason because the ground is soft in a new development and it's easy for the contractors to dig a hole. The trees the roots are attracted automatically to water. The sewer lines, though they're not leaking at the time, water condensates on the outside of the pipe as cool water goes through it. And the roots are attracted to this pipe. And they find that's a water source, and they grab hold of it. And they move along that trench because the whole trench is softer than the ground around it. The ground around it is parched. It's very solid. So over years, and this has been 56 years, the tree its roots have grown around it, and it has caused the pipe to break like this in 3 spots. So it's like this side being at my house. Now what happens is the water backs up behind here, so it's a back issue. So the pipe was broken by the roots. Now I looked this up, and there are only a few reasons why pipes break in the first place. It has to be of something physical. They don't just crack and break. These are high-quality pipes. It has to be an earthquake. And yes, there's a fault about a mile away, but that's not it. It could be a landslide. There's no landslide evidence there. It could be erosion, but there's no erosion. Or it could be tree roots, and that's the most common situation. And these are aggressive tree roots. These are liquid ambers are from the southeast where there's a lot of water.
Yeah.
And okay. I did my homework on this.
Does anyone else have a question for Mr. McCarter? Okay, Okay, you may sit down. Thank you, Mr. McCarter. Yes, Mr. Ferrara.
Mr. Downey, there was mention that a number of these same kind of trees were taken out over the years. Why were they taken out? Why did the city remove these trees in the past in the general area there?
Chair Wiscombe and Commissioner Ferrara, I looked at our inventory to find information. In our inventory going back to 2006, I have information that 4 liquid amber trees have been removed. I further looked at sources to find out maybe why they were removed. Only one of those was by application, which indicates to me, application to this commission, which indicates to me that the other 3 were removed by the city for reasons that the trees became dangerous. The reason stated on the application for the 4th one was damage to sidewalk, driveway, and other hardscapes. That one didn't either involve sewer lateral issues. So that's the information I have regarding any previous removals.
Thank you for that.
Okay, anyone else have questions or?
My feeling is for this to move forward, and since it's not in our jurisdiction on how it gets paid for, but we need to move forward with the removal aspect of it, which is what we have any say over, that I would propose that we concur with the Street Tree Advisory Committee recommendation for removal of the tree at 530 Allen Road.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Seconded, I think, by Mr. K. And any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. We are on to Commissioner Committee assignment reports. We'll just go down the line. Ms. Alley?
I was not able to make the Neighborhood Advisory Committee meeting. I'm hoping Ms. Longstreet will have news to share. But I did attend the health fair on Saturday, September 14th at the junior high, which was a lively event. And so I really appreciate its growth in the second year. A lot of people look like they were getting various information on how to be and stay healthy.
Ms. Longstreet?
I've attended the Park Foundation, and we are moving forward. We have another new board member we welcomed on, and we're very excited for the upcoming year. The Neighborhood Advisory Council, Sebastian Aldana was elected for the chair for this year, and that committee continues to move forward, and they are looking for members. So I would, anyone out in the public that wants to join that committee, it's going to be a vital committee for our neighborhoods. And I also attended the Urban Forests Technical Advisory Committee meeting, which again, a lot of hard work is going into.
Great, thank you. Mr. Ferrara, do you have anything to report?
Yeah, just real quick. I was able to attend the integrated pest management meeting, but they did, the meeting had to do with the programmatic exemptions for several different departments. And the Creeks Advisory meeting was canceled, but they did have a budget meeting, which was at a time where I couldn't get to, too, though. But that was canceled.
Okay, thank you. Mr. K.
Yes, I attended the Arts and Crafts Fair Advisory Council meeting last week, and we continue to have new applicants apply to be members of the Arts and Crafts Fair. We had once again, a lively discussion on how to promote and expose the Arts and Crafts Fair to the greater Santa Barbara community and California, and how to attract more tourists there. So this is an ongoing project. I also attended the Safe Passages gathering. This is the area between the city of Santa Barbara and the county of Santa Barbara, in front of the Mission and up over the bridge on Mission Canyon. There's a group of concerned citizens that are forming this committee to explore possibilities, how to improve the circulation in this highly impacted area. So that's my report.
Great. HLC was at that meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I attended the regular Street Tree Advisory Committee committee meeting, and we had the items that we had a site visit on the items that were on your agenda. And with Ms. Longstreet, the Urban Forest Technical Management Plan and meeting and the Park Foundation meeting. So that's it for that. Okay, let's move on to the consent calendar. Agenda item number 1, summary of council actions. Ms. Rapp, do you have any comments on that, or is this here just for our?
Only if you have
Anyone have any
questions.
questions? Okay. Agenda item number 2 is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on Wednesday, August 28th, 2013. Is there any discussion on that, or do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of that meeting.
Okay. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. Mr. Ferrara and Ms. Ali seconded. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Ms. Longstreet abstains. Okay. That's good. And under new business, agenda item number 4 is the Franceschi Flame Tree Treatment and Propagation Plan. Ms. Zachary, welcome.
Chair Longstreet, I apologize.
Hey, it's been 4 years now, come on.
Chair Wiscombe and members of the commission. Tim Downey and I are going to tag team on this presentation. We gave the same presentation to the Historic Landmarks Commission earlier this afternoon and want to provide you with information about our plan for the Franceschi Flame Tree. So I'll just do a few slides, and then we're going to loop it back around and talk about the urban forest plan that we're working on and how what we're proposing here is in line with some of the draft objectives and actions that we have. The Franceschi historic flame tree was designated in 2002. It's at parking lot 12. You have a handout that we put together for you. It is likely the last remnant of Dr. Franceschi's nursery on that site. And as Mr. Downey will explain in more detail, it suffers from a white rot decay, and we believe is a safety hazard and needs to be addressed. But we also are looking at ways to maintain it in place as long as possible while we propagate identical species. And then, as I said, I'll go back and loop it around to this being consistent with some of the objectives and actions of our urban forest plan.
Chair Wiscombe and Commissioners, before you is 2 photographs recently taken of the tree. The tree is suspected to have gotten this white rot disease with the construction of the lowering of State Street, which happened in around 1990, and the construction of the adjacent parking lot around the same time. In order to do those constructions, there was root pruning that had to occur on this tree, which is most often the cause of white rot getting into the roots of trees. The tree has declined since then. The photograph on your left was taken in April. The photograph on your right was taken this morning. You can see that the tree has declined even in that short period of time even further. The tree, as Ms. Zachary said, is a historic tree and an important tree to the community, and we want to do all that we can to preserve the tree. The disease is not treatable. It simply decays the trunk of the tree, the woody portions in the middle. The safety reasons, this tree leans at about 15 degrees towards the parking lot. These photographs show what the rot has done to the base of the trunk of the tree. Essentially, the tree is standing on what are 4 live stilts. The wood of this species of tree is known to hold on to water and is very drought tolerant because it holds on to that water. The upper portions of the canopy are intact, therefore they're full of water and heavy. The base of the tree is compromised. It leans. We're concerned about the safety of the tree. Because of that, we've developed a plan to deal with that issue. The forestry crews will reduce the tree to about a total of 12 to 15 feet in height maximum. As they've removed the tree, they'll assess it as they go and determine whether they can leave more tree than that. But that is the maximum that they would cut the tree to. The hope is that well, if I can go back a couple slides, there's some foliage about 12 feet up on the right in this slide, just in the just below the light. That's about the level that we want to leave that foliage. That's about the level would be the maximum we would cut it to. The tree, we hope, will respond by putting out new fresh growth, and we will promote that new vegetative growth to become the new canopy of the tree, and hopefully preserve the tree for a while longer in place. The material that's cut off of the tree was going to be collected and given to a couple of local horticulturalists, Bruce Van Dyke being the first one. He's going to be grafting some of that material to Carajong bottle tree rootstock that we've purchased for the purpose. And if that graft is successful, we'll grow new trees that way. The second gentleman is Randy Baldwin with San Marcos Growers. He's going to try to grow some of that growth vegetatively so we can attempt to grow new trees that way. These replacement trees will be genetically identical to the existing tree because it's utilizing the materials from this tree to produce new trees. We plan to post the tree saying what have we done here and why we've done it. And we'll also be doing a notification to all the news about the work. We're going to place your handout on our website for information, and folks will be able to call the Parks and Recreation Department for more information. Once the pruning is done, we're going to monitor the health of the Franceschi flame tree, preserve it in place as long as we possibly can. There's a location within the parking lot where we can plant one of the replacement trees, even if this tree isn't removed. And then once this tree is no longer viable and has to be removed, we will hopefully have new trees of the same children of this tree to plant in its location as well. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Zachary.
So just quickly, as the commission has been very much involved, and two of our commissioners on our technical advisory committee, we presented and provided you with the draft objectives and actions that we've been working on. Just wanted to point out that when we look at our plan for the Franceschi flame tree, it's really consistent with the direction we've been trying to go with our urban forest plan. One is maintaining city trees to promote safety, health, and longevity. There's a number of actions under there really focused on maintenance, care, preserving trees as long as we can. Objective 4, optimizing age and species diversity, and we show you there a couple of those actions related to the tree that we're discussing today. Enhancing and preserving historic and culturally significant trees citywide, and to the extent feasible, working with local and regional nurseries to grow and propagate unique and desirable tree species. And then under our sort of community outreach and our city policy objectives, ensure tree preservation and land development ordinances support urban forest management goals. We have a very specific action where we would be clarifying the guidance for maintenance, longevity, and replacement of specimen and historic trees. We don't currently have a lot of guidance, so it's taken on a case-by-case basis. In this instance, we were able to bring a number of actors to the table. We worked with risk management and public works as well. How can we come up with a plan to try to get the best outcome considering the situation? And then lastly, expanding public participation in urban forest preservation and enhancement. One of the many things that we've talked about is not only having people help us maintain trees, but also how we inform the public about what we're doing about city trees, and in particular ones that are significant to the community and designated historic resources. So just wanted to loop it around and show you that we're trying to begin to illustrate how the urban forest plan will be implemented, hopefully once it's approved and we move forward next year. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for the presentation. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes. Mr. Ferrara?
How long will it take before we know if the shortening of the tree, the pruning of the tree has helped, and before we see some results from that work done, if you know?
Chairwoman, Commissioners, the action of the pruning is going to help public safety immediately. The regrowth, sometimes trees respond right away. Sometimes they wait till their normal growing period in the spring. We should know by spring whether the tree is going to respond or not.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much for that. Did HLC have any comments or?
Chair Wisco, members of the commission, yes, we had a number of comments from the Historic Landmarks Commission. They were appreciative of our report to them. They have expressed in the past concern over how historic trees are managed and wanting to hear and be kept up to date as to what we're doing. They expressed some of the comments that we heard tonight too, as how will we know we're going to be successful? Some concern. It is going to be dramatic, the change in the tree. So this is not generally what we usually do. However, we are going to be posting the site to try to explain to the public why we're taking this approach, because the alternative, as you well know, would be that the tree wouldn't be there at all.
Great. Okay. Thank you. It sounds like a really innovative approach, a good kind of multi-action plan to preserve it and then eventually replace it. So, yeah, keep our fingers crossed. Okay. Thank you very much. And we have no further business, so the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.